Welcome, Soul Tribe. I'm Toni, and this is our Hall of Book Soul Evolution. And we're going to go ahead and get started with reading our first book. Sorry it takes a moment to bring up. It's going to be a book by John Baines called The Stellar Man. Hermetic Philosophy, Book 2. So let's get started. All right, note from author. Whoever reads this book expecting to find an informative essay on sugar-coated commercial esotericism will be greatly disappointed. The Stellar Man is about a science more elevated than any now known and what it can do for mankind. The wisdom, the true origin of all knowledge, represents the highest treasure that the human being can ever succeed in possessing in this and any other century on the planet. Earth or anywhere else in the far reaches of the universe. It is the arte magnum, the perfect vision of the essential reality of nature, which encompasses developing the capacity to see oneself objectively, the evaluating the true level of development of one's own instrument of knowledge, the mind. All knowledge, in order to be true, has to be based on man's internal reality and has to be integrated into a wise, just, omnipresent, immortal, and eternal nature. The ability to see reality is not not a congenital capacity. The human being is only able to observe the map that he himself created from a subjective, limited, and rational interpretation. This process creates a personalized pseudo-reality of which there are as many as there are inhabitants of this planet. I call the imaginative creation social reality, since in practice the individual is a mere cultural resonator and an appendage of the collective psyche of humanity. This is why people live halfway and are a good mixture of good and bad, why they are a little asleep and a little awake, why they are insignificant, even with all their delusions of grandeur. In other words, they do not live profoundly and cannot even grasp the overwhelming significance of this fact. They just graze the surface of the planet and the epidermis of knowledge. According to tradition, more than 20 centuries ago, the greatest sage of all lived on our planet, Hermes Trismegistus, the 3 times great. His teaching, being of extraterrestrial origins, was called Hermeticism. Its objective is the profound knowledge of oneness of the universe. According to Hermes, the microcosm and the macrocosm are analogous, which is why the conscious penetration into one's own universe will also lead the student to universal wisdom. The character of knowledge is that it transcends time and space and corresponds to the secret anatomy of nature, which, like God, has neither beginning nor end. When Hermes wanted to transmit his teaching to a chosen few, he found himself faced with the problem of the limitation of language, which is descriptive and informationally based. This inherent disability made human language inadequate to meet the desired end, since all authentic wisdom is meaningful and not informational. It can only be comprehended at the level of being and not through merely intellectual faculties. For this reason, an unknown language has to be used. Different from the language of people and nations, it is a language of meaning that emanates exclusively from a potent mind at the level of higher consciousness, and which far exceeds habitual conditions of man. The language of gods was the only means that could ensure the comprehension of the sublime teaching. Hermes started to transmit his teachings in great secrecy, choosing only the most prepared as his students, due to the great difficulty that such a magnus opus entailed. In time, he succeeded in forming a few inheritors and continuers, masters who formed an Enneatic school. They formed an occult fraternity that fulfilled its works beyond the scene and in silence. They knew that there were many neophytes who were guided by greed and ambition to obtain unlimited personal power to satisfy sordid passions, rather than a genuine spiritual or philosophical restlessness. Many of those who gained admission into this school failed in their tests, and their twisted intention and absolute lack of ethics became evident over time. The possession of ethics was an indispensable condition to be chosen to receive the highest level of instruction. The limited and superficial information that these pretenders thus obtained became the basis for the birth of a false and superous esotericism. It was based on speculation and superstition, and its decimation is the foundation of the immense majority of what today is erroneously known as magic, occultism, and so forth. True and sacred occultism was the knowledge of Hermes, hidden from those who have not succeeded in mastering the language of the gods, and for those who, owing to their own limitations, pride, and pettiness, were not concerned with developing their higher consciousness. What is certain is that despite the time and difficulties, a few masters with the necessary power and wisdom to confer Hermetic initiation have existed in every epoch. The initiation is a mystical and transcendental event that offers the individual a certain opportunity to cross the threshold that leads to the path towards spiritual perfection and cosmic wisdom. If the individual triumphs in such an undertaking, he becomes a stellar man. This represents the highest goal that Homo sapiens can aspire to, and which corresponds to the culmination of the evolutionary process, but which these species would reach only after many thousands of years of successful development. Making this ascending leap lead the individual to completely overcoming his animal conditions, thereby moving him one step to the evolutionary scale in the universe. The path of perfection is long and arduous. There can be no other way than to pursue the attainment of authentic power over oneself and one's own existence, and to pursue the possession of the state of consciousness in which disharmony, destructiveness, ugliness, aggression, and unhappiness no longer exist. The real Hermetic initiate acquires the capacity to transcend such petty realities, to instead place himself in the ultimate and infinite context of absolute reality, that which transcends time and space. From that moment on, he will never again be defeated by hesitation, loneliness, or doubt. He will have united himself harmoniously with the unique and powerful force, which is a creator and maintainer of life, what Hermes called mind. The Hermetic principle says, the all is mind, the universe is mental. This means that only one class of essential energy exists in the cosmos. The energy, this high conscious and intelligent force, is divided and projects itself into infinite vibrations and form of life, thus maintaining the balance of creation and life of all animate and inanimate species. The occult anatomy of the cosmos is the mechanics of nature, whose force reciprocally feed from the nourished man influencing everything in his life, knowledge and the use of these forces, and what permits the genuine hermeticist to act with his mind in different vital situations in order to ensure the achievement of his goals. Fate does not exist. Everything has a cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. True magic bears no resemblance whatsoever to superstition and witchcraft. The true Magnus is a king of his internal world, which by analogy can influence the external world. As it is above, so it is below. As it is within, so is it without. Guided by Roches and greed, there are many who believe that it is possible to steal the secret and usurp the magic power, supposing that it is based on the development of parapsychological faculties. Nothing is further from reality. Magic is the path of the mutant. It is the supreme art which leads to one's own liberation and spiritual perfection. It is the ascending evolutionary spiral that leads the individual to the only true heaven, the one gained through one's own merit and through internal discipline. It is the legacy of Hermes. It is not possible to reach this goal without having first dominated oneself. Nature makes the candidate for immortality undergo various tests. That will and character of the candidate have to be tempered slightly in the forge of daily experience until the cleanses his heart of all impurities. It is not possible to approach Isis, a mistress of the mysteries of nature, without having first achieved a state of inner transparency. If this were not so, the candidate would end as the butterfly burned by the flame of a candle. For supreme truth blinds or burns the evildoer and the impure as much as it elevates the just and perfect. The noble figure of Hermes, the envoy of the gods, rises out of the remote past, showing us the correct path. You who read this book are free to make your own decision. The author, written for the second edition. Note, the use of the masculine pronoun he is used throughout this book, other than in case that specifically refers to masculine gender, to refers to both men and women. This was done with the aim of simplifying the sentence structure. Message from Isis. I, Isis, mistress of the mystery of nature, speak to you. You novice, who seek to go through the gates of initiation, and you, layman, who will read with idle curiosity. Calm your spirit, clear your mind, calm your emotions, get away from the worldly noises, and look for shelter under the mantle of your own self, so you may cross the threshold that leads to the abode of the magicians with no danger. Cast away your prejudices, shed your egotism, flee from personalism and rashness for an instant. Analyze with serene eyes. Do not fear aught but yourself. Do not doubt but that which you analyze superficially. Do not deny before meditating. Separate yourself from the multitude that obscures your ideas. Be yourself and think for yourself. Do not limit yourself. You, seeker of wonder, you, candidate of initiation, do not look into the distance. Gather all your energy within yourself. Forget about India and Tibet. Do not cry out for God, Allah, or Jesus. What you look for is right where you are at this moment. Yes, stop looking toward the outside and bury your sight deeply within yourself. Tune your perceptions, sharpen your senses. And there, in the center of your being, are you, your I, your real essence, the truth behind lies, the immortality energy that gives life to the clay that is you. Look with devotion and reverence, because there is light, and the light that blinds you is God. Listen to how it decrees 7 am the road and the life. But beware, you cannot contemplate God face to face without dying. Are you willing to continue? I can grant you a great gift. I offer you death. Do not tremble. This death is the gift of the immortals. It is the gift of the phoenix that is gloriously reborn from its own ashes. To be one must not be. To be born is to be. One must first die. If you achieve this, you will be called the twice born. Do not scorn my offer. Consider it carefully. It is better to die now than to live awaiting death. Do not believe that if you reject me, you will be able to continue your path unharmed. On the contrary, all paths lead to me. Ignore me, and you will be like an orphan who does not know its parents. You only have two paths. Either I devour you or you unite with me. Yours, and only yours, is the choice. If you decide to be devoured, fully dedicate your life to enjoyment. Drink the last drop from the cup of pleasure. Close your mind to the voice of your spirit. Abandon yourself to the beast and enjoy the sensual pleasures of matter. Thus, when you are at least aware, the moment of final cannibalism will arrive. Do you really believe I will take pity on you? You deceive yourself. I have no feelings. I am beyond pleasure and pain, beyond right and wrong. I am like the sun that rises in the morning to light everything equally. After your death, you will become only remains of a relic. Afterward, not even that. If you desire to marry me, you must be ready to suffer the death of initiation. You must pass the trials the terrible Sphinx will send to you without mercy in order to judge your spiritual courage and the quality of your nature. I surrender myself only to He who has reached the stage of crucifixion, resisting the attacks of the four elements. I love only those who have drunk from the cup of bitterness, of betrayal, of ridicule and mockery, of persecution, of slander, and of defamation. I love the initiates who have persisted with courage, suffering the loneliness of the spirit in the midst of the world of animals. You come to me after experiencing slander and defamation, which are the specific trials of the element of air, after blows and persecution, the trials of the element of earth, after sensual temptations and vices, which are trials of the element of water, and after dominating uncontrolled ambitions, which are the trials of fire. This quandary corresponds to each of the end of the cross to which one who comes to me was nailed, Jesus Christ. Nevertheless, others even greater have lived and live in secret. No one knows of their existence because it is better for their work. Do not believe that in the world there exist only the once born and the twice born. Unfortunately, the once and a half born and the aborted ones also exist. Beware not to take in by the convincing lies and the Machiavellian language. These beings live neither in this world nor the next. They are neither initiates nor laymen, but imitators of masters, semi-sages, sowers with unclean hands, the followers of dead scrolls, and black magicians who covet me and boast of my love when they are not even worthy of my smile. Some may wear saris or tunics, others collars and aprons, others the Rosicrucian attire. Some proclaim themselves the only possessors of the truth, believing that they actually possess this monopoly. All of them claim my friendship, but are only beggars who plead to me for crumbs of wisdom. You do not achieve second birth by standing on your head or meditating, nor in the coffin of purely symbolic ceremonies, nor by good works or the grace of the Holy Spirit. If you disdain me, receive my blessings and continue on your road. destined to be food for the gods. Not all can be men. Some can only be animals, or worse, vegetables. If you come to me through curiosity, think twice. It is easy to be rash with what one does not know. If you are not brave enough, turn back. Shield yourself with your vanity and your pride. Content yourself to look down at the ground like you're Ken. If you are not prepared, do not aspire to see my face. Unfortunate is he who, possessed by animal greed or misguided curiosity, contemplates only my reflection, as he will never forget me and will die tormented by the desire to possess me. If you are prepared, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, if your intention is pure and noble, proceed without discouragement, and know that from the moment yon cross the threshold of the occult abode, I will be anxiously awaiting you, like the young bride for her first love. This book can help you. It can be the guide that will take you to the hidden door, in which so many seek and so few find. Seek and you will find. Do not to the gods. Fight for me. You will conquer me with the strength of your decision, not by praying. All right, and that is the end. And we'll start again with chapter 2, the Antichrist. All right, I hope you guys all enjoyed and you have a great day. Until the next time, see you then.